For those of you who don't know me, which is probably most of you, I am Father Broussard. I'm the vocation director from the Diocese of Lafayette. I welcomed Father Merrick's invitation to come and celebrate Mass here at Christ the King, thinking that it would be good for the students from the Diocese of Lafayette to see me. I didn't realize it was Mardi Gras break. So, here we are. But I'm still happy to be here. So I mentioned I'm the vocations director, and one thing that a lot of people who know me say whenever they speak about this role that I have is they say that I'm perfect for it, which is kind of hard to hear, right? I'm not very good at listening to compliments, but I think it's true. I do think I'm pretty good for this role for the reason that they give, right? Because I'm generally a pretty joyful priest. I enjoy being a priest. It's a fun life. It's a good life if God calls you to it. And I enjoy it for a number of reasons. One, I'm going to take this off, it's bothering me. One great thing about being a priest, especially in South Louisiana, is that people love their priests. And people love their priests in a very particular way. They like to feed them. As someone who likes to eat, this is a wonderful benefit of the job. They feed you well. So my second assignment was at our cathedral, and not long after I arrived, one of the workers there invited me to the home for a family meal. And so somehow she had convinced her, I think he was about 3 or 4 at the time, she had convinced her oldest son that fruit was a special treat. It's amazing. He thought this was just like the best thing ever. So I get there and he looks at me and he says in his 4-year-old voice, says, "Father Broussard, do you like fruit?" I said, "Yeah, sure, I like fruit." He says, "Father Broussard, if you make a happy plate, you get fruit." He was so excited to let me know that if I cleaned everything off my plate, I ate everything that I was given, I would get that special treat, which was fruit. I thought about this as I read the gospel, the readings for this weekend. I think it's a very fitting place to sort of jump off on some reflections. The first thing that I thought about was that it's fascinating that children need everything done for them. Right? Especially when they're very little, parents have to do everything. They have to put the food in, they have to clean the food when it comes out. Right? They have to do everything. They have to bathe the child. The child is totally dependent on the parent. And one thing that I thought of was that the parent especially has to do everything in regards to food. Right? The parent has to work to provide the food. The parent has to prepare the food. And the parent even serves the child their food. This is very important because if the child was serving his own food, or if the child would only eat what they wanted, it would be a big plate of bread. My nieces and nephew are going through this. They love bread. But the parent knows that the child needs more than just bread. Right? They need some meat. They need some protein in their life. They need some green stuff every once in a while, right? They have to get their vegetables in. The parent forces the child to eat things that maybe they wouldn't eat by themselves because they know that it's good for them, that they need it to be healthy and to grow up to be a strong person. Right? Broccoli, it's not as tasty as a croissant, but it's good for you, and so you need to have it every once in a while. And in some ways, in the same way, we should allow our spiritual mother, the church, to serve our plate, right? To serve our spiritual meal. Why should we do this, right? Why shouldn't we just kind of do everything that we want to do, kind of pick and choose what we want? Because when it comes to the spiritual life, we're like children, right? We're going to pick and grab those things that make us feel good, but that maybe aren't necessarily healthy for us. Or maybe they're healthy in small doses, but we can't just live off of, right, spiritual roles. We need our meat and vegetables. And so the church gives us what we need to grow to be spiritually healthy, good people. And this is especially true during the season of Lent, right, which we begin on Wednesday. That the church gives us these things that we should do of prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. I had a meeting just before I drove over from Lafayette, and I was telling them the same thing, that we can sort of convince ourselves that those are too elementary for us. Right? We don't need that. I can think of so much better stuff to do. Right? I know better. No. Right, we've been doing this 2,000 years. Prayer, fasting, and almsgiving, kind of the way to go. Right? It's the foundation that we need to be able to grow in our spiritual life. And so the church, like a good mother, forces us, tells us, instructs us that we should eat our meat and vegetables, right? That we should pray, we should fast, and we should give alms during this season of Lent. Now, this is not exactly comfort food, right? Sometimes prayer and fasting and almsgiving can be boring. Sometimes it can be hard. Sometimes it can be incredibly dry, and we feel like we need to do something else. But we stay focused on the plate that the church has served us, right? Nobody's begging to eat Brussels sprouts, but they do it sometimes because it's good for them. Right? A lot of times we're not begging for the things that we need in the spiritual life, but we do them because we know that they are beneficial. And so as you're preparing for Lent, keep this in mind. Right? That this is what the church provides for us. This is what the church instructs us to do. And so we should do it. Now, you are free. I encourage you to take on other things, but it should be on top of prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. Right? If you want to do more, go for it. But keep these as the primary focus. Right? There's a reason why the church gives it to us, and it's because it is good for us. Right? Through fasting, sin is uprooted in our lives. Right? We're deprived of something. It cleanses us. It purifies us. It roots out evil in our lives. Through prayer, we replace that evil, that filth that we've gotten rid of through fasting with something good, right? With God. And then in almsgiving, we overflow in that goodness, right? We give to those who are in need. We're moved through that fasting and that prayer to reach out to people who are in need. And so we ask ourselves that same question that was posed to me by that little 4-year-old. Do you like fruit? Do you want to bear fruit? Make a happy plate with what the church gives us, what our spiritual mother provides for us, and through this Lent, we will come to bear good fruit.